Hey, what's up everyone? It's your girl Brain Shanae, and today I'll be doing a book review for one of my anticipated reads of the year, and that is Beasts of Ruin by Ayana Gray. So if you want to know my thoughts and my rating for this book, please stay tuned. And I am back. So like I said before, I'm gonna be doing a book review for Beast of Ruin by Ayana Gray. This is the second book in the series. The first book is Beast of Prey, which I had read last year and did a review about it. So I'll leave that up above so you can check it out. But there's a lot of hard-hitting points in this book. I was very emotional when I was reading this, and I will tell you why in just a minute. But this was one of my anticipated reads of the year, and it did not disappoint. It jumps right into the very beginning of where we left off in the first book. And I love that. I love books that do that because it doesn't lag, but it also gives you like an explanation of stuff that happened in the first book. So it definitely keeps you aware of stuff and helps you remember what happened in the first book. So you don't have to worry about that. But this book was so impactful and so like it had me in tears. It had me thinking about certain things, certain topics in this book where it got to me. It got to my soul, and I appreciate that. Like, of course I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. No doubt about it. No questions about it. This book is so epic. It's wonderful. It keeps you on a journey. And it's nothing, and the journey is self-discovery, about your identity, about who you are, about your lineage, about your family's history. It describes everything about Kofi and Ekon and who they are as individuals. And I love this book. Like I said, it did not disappoint whatsoever. The first book was awesome. Second book, amazing. So I have no complaints about it. But as we left off in the first book into this book, we are seeing, we end up having a different point of view, and that is Benti. And how can I describe this? So Benti makes this vow to her mother, saying that she does not want to have anything to do with her. She doesn't want her to know about her daughter or whoever. So literally in this book, we're figuring out who is Benti, who is this person, and then it all clicks and it comes together as you read along. So we get a point of view of Benti, and then we go into points of view of Ekon and Kofi. So just keep that, just let you know that right now. So you get different POVs. And so as we're following the story, Kofi is now with Fedu at Thornkeep, which is a place where he has captured a lot of Darajas, where some are loyal to him and others are trying to escape, but they are trapped in Thornkeep, excuse me, because of the Mist Woods, because of the untethered. And the untethered are people that did not go to the Godlands. They are trapped. And then they take whoever walks and wanders into the Mistwood and pretty much kills them off. So the Darajas have no hope whatsoever, and until Kofi comes into play. But this was also self-discovery for Kofi, and it was sort of a blessing in disguise for her to be in Thornkeep, because she were able to meet different Darajas, and she starts to realize there are different orders of the Daraja, and it brings that up in the beginning of the book, where there's 5 orders, but then there's a 6th that they do not bring up because it's very rare, and the 6th one is called Order of Vivuli. But the 5 Daraja orders, there is Order of Mwili, Order of the Body, you have Order of Akili, Order of the Mind, Order of Maisha, Order of Life, Order of Kumpambana, Order of Combat, and Order of Infundi, Order of Craft. And the 6th one, like I said, is Order of Vivuli. And so Kofi is like what? Like, there's orders to Darajas. They're different. Every Daraja is not the same. They all have different powers. Like, that's amazing. So she starts to have self-discovery of herself and starts to realize just not how powerful she is, how powerful her splendor is, and how powerful she can't hold it in. She doesn't want to be like Arya, right? She doesn't want to hold all that power in for 99 years like Arya did. Just not happening. So she was able to control her splendor and also open her eyes to all these different creatures and beasts that she hasn't seen. You know, she worked at the night zoo and stuff like that, but she didn't know these creatures exist, like that look like dragons and stuff like that. It was just really interesting, and I really loved this, like the aspect of it, because it takes you, like I said, self-discovery and learning new things about different creatures and different people, and learning that you're not alone. There's more Darajas out there, and she was able to meet a lot of them. Zane, everyone, like a lot of people that were impactful to self-discovery for herself. And then we have Ekon, who realizes that Coffee is gone. Fedu took her. So he's on a mission to find her and get her away from Fedu before the bonding. I'm not going to say much about the bonding. You'll have to read that because it's definitely interesting. And I feel like that's going to be more information about the binding specifically in the third book. So I don't want to get into that, but it's the bonding. So they're trying to make sure she gets away from Fedu, because Fedu has one thing that he wants from Kofi, and that is to use her power. And to get rid all of the Daraja. That's his main goal. So Ekon is on this journey, but he is not alone. He is also accompanied with a woman named Timba. And he ends up realizing that Timba is the grandmother of Kofi. And he's like, how is this possible? How is this, but Kofi is also blinded herself because she didn't know anything about it. She didn't know anything about her history or anything, or about her grandmother. And that's when I bring up the POV of Benti. We get more into that. And so as I'm reading this book, I was getting feels of the movie Imitations of Life. Imitations of Life is a really old movie. And it's funny, like as I was reading this book, it literally reminded me of that, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But like Imitation of Life is it came out in the 50s, specifically I think 1959, so late 50s, and it's definitely a powerful movie. It definitely will have you cry. When I watch it, I haven't watched it recently, but it will make you cry. There are some hard-hitting topics and stuff of like this identity and lies and stuff, and not trying to have people know about who you truly are, who your mother is, etc., etc. And so that's when we come into play with Benti and her mother Timba. Yes, I said that. Timba is Benti's mother, which is Benti is Kofi's mother. But she goes by a different name now. And it goes into more in depth of that, and more in depth of the situation between Kofi's grandmother and her mother. And I left a couple marks in here because I definitely want to reference it, because it's hard hitting when it comes to a mother-daughter's relationship. And I love that aspect of this book because it goes down into the root of why Kofi doesn't know her family history. It was all hidden from her. It was taken from her. Actually, she had no choice because her mom made sure that she had no idea. So as I'm going through, there's some things I don't want to have it, spoil it for everyone, but I had left a couple of marks in the book that I want to read to you because it's very, very powerful and very impactful. So for this scene that I'm going to be reading is about when they're in the market, and literally that's when they start attacking and segregating Darajas, saying that you cannot drink at this specific area. You have to walk miles to get some water. And literally Benti is seeing all this, and she's just like, why do we have to do that? Why are they doing this to Darajas? And mind you, Benti is not a Daraja. She's the daughter of a Daraja, who they call a Cobra. But it says, when I move my hands, Mama's expression has softened too. I'm doing the very best I can, Benti, my mother murmurs. I will do whatever it takes to protect my family. It's not enough. I don't have the heart to say the words aloud, but that doesn't make them any less true. No matter how hard you try, it will never be enough. And I know that's true. This is what it means to be a Daraja in Lakosa. My mother's kind were once revered and praised, not anymore. Lakosa will never accept people like her, which means that by default, they'll never accept me. So that's when it first started with their relationship. She realized that she will never be accepted in this world because of who her mother is and her identity. And so she began to start resenting her mother, to the point where she's like, it's not enough. It will never be enough. I will always remain an outcast. And then it goes into play about she meets a girl who is a Daraja, and they become friends, and she loves that because they have something in common. Their mothers are Daraja and stuff like that. But Naya gives her Benti, like saying like, oh, you can just pass as a non-Daraja, right? So it says, So Naya says, I murmur, it says we're not allowed. No. Naya gives me a coy look. It says Darajas aren't allowed. I frown confused. But you and I, our mothers, there are heritage laws. We don't have to tell anyone that our mothers are Daraja, Binti says to Naya. I mean, it's not like they asked to see papers. You mean our falter? You're saying we should lie? Not lie. Naya waves a casual hand as though this is all the simplest thing in the world. We just omit the entire truth. No one asks, no one tells. I stare at her in horror until she offers me a distinctly pitying look. Oh, Binti, she takes my hand and squeezes it gently, but I recognize the glint of mischief in her eyes. Don't tell me that you've never passed before. Passed? I repeat the word. It sounds strange to me, like the door to a sprawling secret. Come on. Now Naya tugs on my hand. It'll be fine. Besides, how else are we going to find a cute outfit for you? So it has that word past. And like I said, as the book progressed, that's why it made me think of Imitations of Life, because it's literally like that in that movie itself. And then she goes deeper into it. And starts doing things, and she changes her name completely because it doesn't sound like a Daraja's name, which I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything else about her name. But she starts to be resentful, and she meets this boy named Lasego, which we know Lasego from the first book. That's her committed relationship that she's in with this man. But he doesn't know her true identity because she kept it from him. He doesn't know anything about her mother being Daraja, nothing. He doesn't know her real name, which is Binti, or nothing. She goes by a different name. And it's so hard hitting. It says, and literally it says here, the boy is a reminder. We may be able to pretend, but we will never truly be apart. We walk in silence until the bonfire is long gone, but I hear the crack of whip long after. So she goes into that. Binti goes into saying that I will never be accepted unless I do something about it. And then it goes more into the dynamic situation with her mom and Timba, and how she breaks down how she wished she had a better relationship with her daughter. And she was doing everything that she could to protect her daughter, but her daughter still resented her. And then that's when literally Binti broke ties with her mother in general. And that's when Kofi comes into play, when she's born. And she says this, which was so sad. So sad. It says, I look into my daughter's eyes and I hate them. It's not because they're not beautiful. They're colored a lovely deep brown. And when the sunlight catches them just so, there are flecks of gold. No, I don't hate them because of their color. I hate them because they don't belong to me or to my husband. Those eyes are unmistakably, undeniably the Cobra's. No doubt if I stood my daughter beside her, some might even think Kofi was her child. So just for her to say that she hates her eyes because they look like her mother's, that lets you know about their relationship and how far along it had progressed into them not speaking whatsoever. And so with their relationship, that messed up Kofi not knowing who she is, not knowing her identity. And so it's really hard hitting, especially when you think about in reality, because of course this is a YA fantasy book, but in reality, in today's reality, my reality, like I don't know much about my family in the past because that was taken from my family. That was taken from me. I had no choice. Like it was just taken. I didn't give it to them. They just took it from me. And I feel like with Binti, Kofi's mom, she took that from Binti, did not give Binti a choice. I did not have a choice. It was just taken. Kofi didn't have a choice. She had to learn from her who she was as time goes on about her powers of being a Daraja, because she had no idea what a Daraja was at the beginning of the first book, A Beast of Prey. And so now she's trying to learn about herself and about her past, her family, and yet alone she still doesn't know that she has a grandmother. Only Ekon knows that, which I feel like he will express that to her in the third book. And so that's why I mentioned Imitation of Life. And then what the funny thing was, after I read the book, I read the author's note, and I was just like, wow, okay, that was spot on. So it says, let me see, let me try to find it, because I was like, what? Okay, I was on the right page for it. So let me see. I'm looking for it because I was like, okay, Ayana, you definitely killed it with this book. You killed it to the T. So let me see. I'm looking in the author note right now, because it talks more in detail about it. Okay, so it says, it is a narrative that examines, sometimes uncomfortably, the fraught relationship a person can have with their heritage when that heritage has been deliberately erased or vilified. To that end, I want to acknowledge two books that partially influence the creation of Binti's point of view specifically. So they're also books. I referenced the movie, but they're books as well. Nella Larsen's Passing and Fanny Hurst's Imitation of Life. So literally just that one part where it says she wants to acknowledge the two books that partially influenced the creation of Binti's point of view, that I was right. Like, I did not know, like, I was just reading it and I'm like, this reminds me Imitation of Life. Now, I haven't read the book. I only watched the movie. I might read the book now. But the movie is like, this is really giving me Imitation of Life vibes. And I don't know how, but I was right. And I'm like, wow, okay. So, and I get where she's coming from, especially when it comes to your heritage. And I feel like that is the main thing about this book, about self-discovery, about finding yourself, about learning more about your heritage and where you come from and your family. Like, I loved it. Like I said, I have no complaints whatsoever about this book. Like, we go more into depth about Ekon and himself and finding his self, of trying to belong, to have some type of place or person that he feels he belongs to. And I think with Ekon and Kofi, I think he gets that. And I think that they're not necessarily in a relationship, but who knows what it might turn into. They were getting close, especially in the first book, and so now they're separated. They're on their own journeys, but they're eventually come together. So they start to find one another again, it just in different circumstances. So Ekon is looking for Kofi, and then Kofi is learning more about herself, but also trying to rescue the Daraja from Feru, because he's using them and he's using Kofi. So, like I said, this book is hard-hitting. It mostly deals with your heritage and identity, and I love that about this book. There was never any slow moments, no dry moments. It wasn't repetitive. It was just beautiful. Just beautiful. The writing was beautiful. Of course, you know that I pre-ordered the book so I can get a hard copy of this book. This is the ARC. And I will continue on reading books by Ayana Gray because her work is fantastic. There's never like a dull moment in her books. It keeps you on your feet. This is such an epic quest, an epic journey, that it not only like keeps you on your toes, but it keeps you on the edge of your seat. So like, I love this and I cannot wait for the third one. Like literally as I finish this book, I'm like, okay, Ayana, where's the third one? I need the third one, like right now. Like, give me just the bind up if you got it, like, because I just want to know. I want to know the ending, the end game when it comes to Kofi, Feru, Ekon. So yeah, I'm all for it. And plus we get to meet new characters in this book as well. So not only are we following around Kofi and Ekon, we're following Timba, we're following Zane, we're following so many people, Safiya, a lot of people. And Ekon also has self-discovery about his heritage as well as regarding his mom. And that is at the very end of this book too. Like, what, Ayana, you killing me? Like literally at the very end of the last page, a lot of things are revealed when it comes to Ekon and his past and his family. So I definitely recommend this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. So if you haven't picked this book up, you should do so right now. It is out. It was just released this past Tuesday. So definitely pick up your copy while you can, because I tell you, like, this is an adventure and a ride that you do not want to miss. So I have no other words. Just pick this book up and read it for yourself. If you haven't read the first book, pick it up too. And like I said, this series will not disappoint. It will keep you on your toes. Every single page, every single word. But that is it. That is my book review for Beasts of Ruin by Ayana Gray. I really hope you enjoyed this book review. If you did, please, please, please give me a thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, everyone, and please stay healthy and stay safe. See ya.